Perhaps me talking about these t-shirts every week is getting annoying to you. Well, lucky for you, this campaign ends in like 4 days. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have t-shirts for sale and you have 4 more days to get them. They look like this. So if you like these designs or if you just want to support me, you should check it out. That'd be really cool. There's a link in the description and you should be able to click somewhere on the screen. By the way, I'm wanting to incorporate music into my videos more often. So if you make music and would like to give me permission to feature you in a video, shoot me an email. The email will be in the description and it's gonna flash on the screen in just a few seconds. Hi, I'm T1J. Follow me on Twitter. I, as you may or may not know, am a very hardcore proponent of free speech and free expression, which basically refers to your right to express yourself in any way that you choose without fear of punishment from someone in authority. This is one of the cool things about America, the only country with free speech, according to some people. Now, obviously that isn't true, but America does seem to be the country with the freest speech. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Free speech allows people to express ideas that are controversial or unpopular without fear of government retaliation. This is important because sometimes controversial ideas are the right ideas, and failing that, at least ideas that should be considered. For example, I have the unpopular opinion that the original Star Wars trilogy is massively overrated. There are some people that consider that kind of thinking an actionable offense, but luckily those people aren't in charge. Now, controversial ideas aren't always the right ideas, but the fact that they are even a little bit of the time means that they should be protected. Some people make the argument that some types of speech, like hate speech, are never the right ideas and therefore should be more tightly controlled. The problem with this is that the definition of hate speech is very subjective. The ideas of Martin Luther King Jr., which today's American society generally agrees were the right ideas, were considered hate speech by much of the society during his time. Some people think the Confederate flag is an overt symbol of racism, while others think it's an innocuous cultural symbol. Some people think substituting Coke for Pepsi is acceptable, while others think it's a legit act of war. The point is, what's considered hateful is subjective, and any law that tried to dictate this would be very biased to one particular point of view, which is not how the law should work. Because unpopular ideas are sometimes good ideas, I think that upholding free expression should not only be the goal of the law, but the goal of any place that intends to foster open and productive conversations. This is why the internet is much better at providing information than, say, TV, because the internet is freer. Now, because it's freer, there's a lot more bullshit and hatred and outright disgusting nonsense that gives me nightmares and occasionally makes me fear for the future of humanity. But there's also a lot more interesting ideas and useful information. Now, not every place on the internet specifically values absolute free speech, and they don't have to. I just think the ones that do have a higher potential for good ideas and productive conversations. Now, when I say absolute free speech, I'm kind of exaggerating because some forms of expression shouldn't be protected, particularly those that inflict upon another person's rights or well-being. For example, doxing or revealing somebody's private information is a form of expression that infringes upon another person's right to privacy and shouldn't be protected. Slander, harmful threats, inciting violence, stalking, and malicious harassment are more examples of things that, since they infringe upon another person's rights or well-being, shouldn't be protected. Note that being offensive is not in and of itself something that shouldn't be protected. Because unlike a right to privacy or a right to safety, for example, we don't have the right to not be offended. And that's for good reason, because sometimes good ideas are offensive to people. I mean, those movies had cool special effects and really cool characters, but that shit was mad corny and the plot barely made any sense. So within these limitations, I think that the freer the speech is, the better, because it provides the best framework for the best ideas to be presented. However, we also have to admit that the freer the speech is, the freer people are to be intentionally offensive. And this can range from being mildly annoying to incredibly repugnant. Some people choose to use their freedom of expression to be insufferable assholes, and when you call them out on it, they're like, free speech, bro, get over it. Like they found some kind of loophole that gives them a pass for being awful. Some of them even seem to think that they're doing us a favor by taking their free expression to the very limits and decrying people as being overly politically correct when they get mad about it. Telling someone to not be an asshole is not being politically correct. That's not what that means. You know, you'll hear people get praised for not pulling their punches and telling it like it is, when half the time they're just being rude and tactless, if not outright mean. But come here for a second. So like I implied, the best ideas are not always politely expressed, but some people are just reprehensible for the sake of being so, because they get a kick out of it. And then they have the nerve to imply that people who value respect and courtesy are doing free speech wrong. But as many people before me have pointed out, freedom of expression does not mean freedom from criticism. So if you decide to use your freedom of speech to be hateful and offensive, then I reserve the right to mock, ridicule, tease, criticize, ostracize, publicize, shame, or ignore your nonsense. You don't deserve to be congratulated for being an asshole. You're not some champion of free speech. You're just a dick. You're literally the excess waste that is the inherent byproduct of a free society. You're the sludge that we filter out of the sewage in order to get fresh water. You're not free speech heroes. You're the assholes that we reluctantly tolerate in order to provide a space for actually productive ideas to flourish. That's just me though. Thank you for watching this video. Check out this other video I made where I talk about whether or not black people can be racist. Spoiler, they can. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to all of the new subscribers. How you doing? And remember, be honest, be assertive, be kind, and be open-minded. If you agree with that, leave me a Heiko in the comments. And subscribe if you like my hair. Thank you once again for watching my video. For those that don't know, I'm a full-time YouTube creator, and the only way that I'm able to do that is through your support, and a large portion of that support comes through Patreon. Now, Patreon is a crowdfunding site for people like me with ongoing creative projects. It's kind of like an online tip jar where you can set it up to donate just a couple bucks every time I make a new video. So if you find any value in my channel or my videos, or if you just want to support me, please consider signing up for Patreon. That would be super amazing and totally appreciated. But even if you don't feel like it, or if you can't, that's fine too. I just thank you for watching.